Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Bible, one book, one verse at a time. Today we're going to be looking at the rather wild book of Zechariah. Now I say the book of Zechariah is a bit of a wild ride because it's full of all kinds of visions and dreams. At least the first half is full of visions and dreams that Zechariah had in answer to the question of the people, should we stop mourning? Is the exile almost over? Zechariah was written around the same time as Haggai, when the exile was finished, when Persia destroyed Babylon or conquered Babylon and then produced a different kind of peace in the lands. They didn't rule with the same kind of iron fist that Babylon did, and in fact they often allowed the people to go back to their places and they would pay for the rebuilding of places of worship, which is what happened eventually with Jerusalem. And the people of Israel, those who were in the land, were wondering whether that release from exile or that release back into the land by the rulers of Persia was going to usher in the kingdom that had been announced by Isaiah and Jeremiah. Was this the time that the kingdom would be restored? And the question is kind of left up in the air in Zechariah. Now, in this book, God promises renewal, and it's a renewal beyond what anybody had expected, but it also promises renewal, and the timing of that renewal is kind of left in the air as to whether the people would follow God and keep his covenant. There's this big if in there in certain places, as he reminds people of the ways that in the past their ancestors were not faithful to God, and so then that led to their exile. And then there's promises that a new kingdom will come, but only if the people will stay true to their covenant. But the new kingdom will come at some point, and the end of the book describes this incredible restoration and renewal that extends far beyond just this simply earthly kingdom or this geographically bounded kingdom in Jerusalem and around that particular area. It's an image of renewal that starts there but then flows out to the entire earth, which brings us to the key verse in Zechariah. This is near the end of the book. This is Zechariah chapter 14, verse 9. The Lord will be king over the whole earth. On that day there will be one Lord, and his name the only name. Now, the book of Zechariah is also one of those books that helps us to understand what happened when Jesus came. So, for example, when Jesus had his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, part of the quotation that the group gives, or that crowd gives, is from Zechariah, that, "Behold, your king will come humble and riding on a donkey." And that's what Jesus did moving into the city. It seems as though Jesus consciously used that prophecy to symbolize that he was the humble king coming to claim his throne, to claim his rulership over the whole earth, not just one particular place. And so this promise that God would be the ruler over all the earth comes true in Jesus. And that's why later on, when Paul talks about how amazing Jesus is, and his attitude is one of a servant, and how God then raised him up so that there is no other name, and at the name of Jesus every knee will bow and every tongue confess that he is Lord. This gets back to this prophecy in Zechariah that someday there will be a kingdom over the whole earth, and there will be only one name who we will call Lord. Now, as usual, if this has been useful for you, I'd encourage you to like and to subscribe and to read through the book of Zechariah, and maybe comment down below some of the ways that you found it odd or meaningful or beneficial in your faith.